This is how the SEG looks. We only use 3 plates. You can use 4 or 5, but then you've got to consider if you're rich. If you're rich, of course, you can put more plates on. But this is a prime mover. It can be used as a home domestic power plant, which is, we are now developing. It can be used as a car engine. It can either be put straight in the wheels, or it can be put in where your engine is and 4 electric motors, 1 on each wheel. You've got the energy, you can run at mains, you can run higher if you wish. We can also use it for powering trains, we can use it for aircraft, and it is used on a very large scale to power our Liberty discs, as they were called. Here is basically what they look like. If you can consider full race, as we call them in England, that is exactly what you're looking at in this generator, except you do not need any housing or cage to hold them. This is 1 ring and the rollers, to give some idea of what we're talking about. This is a completed one. These pictures are in book form for those who want to study the details in closer. This is, of course, one of the press photographs of the beginning of the team, where you do research work of a massive people that we are proceeding at this time, and I can guarantee that within 6 months I'll be back up and running again. And if anyone's out there, that just put the money on the table. I'm willing to accept it. Here again are some photographs taken by individual members of the team. We had to clear a site to build the demo 1. We're giving you the idea as television first saw the site, and they thought we were joking. Here we are with the disc. As you notice, the whole effort is towards the tip or the rim of the craft. Can you point out the SEG? Here is the actual SEG on a very large scale. Again, we have the 3 plates. Again, we have 3 sets of runners. Down below, we show you how we actually create the function of angle. We are using gyro technology in the control of the angle. The SEG do more than just power the craft. It's the stabilizing effort. This is where the Americans have failed with their discs. They have used conventional aircraft thinking. That is what's ruined all their programs. I realized back in 1968 that if the problem of the disc was to keep it stable. We had the SEG capable of powering it. The question was, could we use SEG to also control the angle of the flight? We could. And how we did it, we had a plunger. This plunger did a number of things. When you signal a change of course, we have 64 of these around the vehicle. The main feed goes out through to the rim, then we have a switching action to the top plate and to the bottom. The power switch top or bottom to keep it stable. Using gyro technology in the control of the angle. The SEG do more than just power the craft to build the demo 1. We're giving you the idea as television first saw the site, and they thought we were joking. Can you point out the SEG? Here is the actual SEG on a very large scale. Again, we have the 3 plates. Again, we have 3 sets of runners. Down below, we show you how we actually create the function of angle. We are using gyro technology in the control of the angle. The SEG do more than just power the craft. It's the stabilizing effort. This is where the Americans have failed with their disc. They have used conventional aircraft thinking. That is what's ruined all their programs. I realized back in 1968 that if the problem of the disc was to keep it stable, we had the SEG capable of powering it. The question was, could we use the SEG to also control the angle of the flight? We could. And how we did it, we had a plunger. This plunger did a number of things. When you signal a change of course, we have 64 of these around the vehicle. The main feed goes out through to the rim, then we have a switching action to the top plate and to the bottom. The power switch top or bottom define the speed at which you're going to move up and down. When you operate any of these plungers, you immediately switch off the energy at the tip, you switch off the energy at the top or bottom, whichever side you are pumping, and then your plunger strikes and returns. Immediately it drops at that point. If you don't return power immediately, you will then continue to make a very large circle. You will continue in a curved direction. If the power comes back immediately, then you maintain that level of flight. As I said last night, I have now given the CAA notice that when we start flying, probably next year, we want clearance of 2,000 feet between all other aircraft. They must not direct us on any aircraft flight path if the aircraft is 2,000 feet in front of us, because it will knock out all their radio control, communications and things of this nature. We are now waiting for their reply that they recognize and accept our request. Here is the Demo 1 in construction. As you can see, it consists of 64 struts. And let me tell you something. Boy, there were some problems to solve. You may think it's a very simple thing to put together. But when you're trying to prove to 400 scientists who said that such a structure cannot be produced, it will not support itself, let alone fly. You open the door to all the media to watch you do it. And then you say you have to solve this problem because we're going to use the weakest material we can get. Because if the weakest material can do what you say, then the stuff you select to do the job is indestructible. The scientists watch and they laugh. The television kept coming and recording every step of the work. The media was at their heyday. But slowly the scientists disappeared. They realized they had made a terrible mistake. You see, they said that the structure is a split beam system and it's too weak for the job we want to do. They were wrong. And by the time the craft was built, there wasn't another scientist present. And they never again wrote or said anything to me about what can't be done or can be done. Again, here's another view taken by the press of the Demo 1, so you can see how it is constructed. Now, if we could go towards the rim, down look lower, now look up to show where the generator sits. Yeah. As you see, the generator I'm sorry, I'll take my... Yeah. Sorry, I get carried away and I don't realize people are not generator section. And I can assure you, it is a very complicated thing to put in. Until you come to do it, you realize that this is something very typical. It takes about 8 people to pull each section in. Again, another press photograph. Here's another view. Oh, by the way, I'd like to say, one of the television crew said, we'll get up in a tree so we can film down, because it's so beautiful. He got up, and when he got so excited, forgot he's up the tree and fell. I have seen lots of funny things. I could write a book about things that happened while we were doing this one model. Again, we're hoping you can get the idea of the construction. Now, in between are where the the landing legs go in. Here's another view taken by the press. That wasn't the shot they took that they actually found. Now that was a shot. That's, by the way, the man kneeling is Dr. Kane from NASA. He came and spent 2 weeks with me. He went over all the calculations, he watched a model demonstration, and he wrote a report. He sent me the copy of that report. He told the media present that he had examined everything. He's gone over all the calculations, and in his opinion, they were absolutely correct. On the demonstration of the model, he told the media that model could reach the moon in less than 9 hours. Now you compare that to NASA's. He also said it would take under just 9 hours to reach the moon. And to answer NASA with the following statement. He said, if we do not marry serl's technology, when serl comes out on the world market, he will lead the world, and there's nothing they can do because they have no knowledge how to do it. Again, another shot taken from a tree, this time by another person. Here are part of my team. We have, at the middle, is Tony Justice. His full-time job was a tool machinist, and he used to come out on all holidays and weekends to help with the work. He was a great lad. We have, to the right of him, is Gordon Goodfellow. He, by the way, was glad he is not meeting his Lord. When I met him first, he was in a terrible state. He said the hospital cannot do no more for him. He had a short time to live. He had severe bronchitis and asthma. So I said to him, I'll have a spare generator. I will bring it over and fit it up in your home. 2 days later, when I went to his home, he said, boy, I get all my family around this. He said, it's like drinking other spring water. He said, I feel good. 4 weeks later, he said, can I come up and join your team? Spring water. He said, I feel good. 4 weeks later, he said, can I come up and join your team? So we brought him up, and he said, oh, I can't do this. I said, watch. Let's watch how we do it. The following weekend, he was in the team, working just as hard as the rest. The question is, we can never do anything that's strange, but if we stand and watch other people who can do it, we all can do it. And that applies to every one of us. We have to see how we do these things. This is a view taken above of the cabin of the Demon 1. In fact, I often got in it for the press to take pictures. You can, there's plenty of room to lie in it. It was 21 feet in diameter. and it weighed 12 tons on completion. We have started wiring up under the cabin floor for all the control apparatus that would be used for the radio control side of the craft. We only just started to throw in the leads. They actually go through to the generator. I don't know if you can show where the cables are running through. And we just had to string them up because we had the media present, and they take all day filming. Again, we have the colour shot taken by another freelance photographer. Again, showed you how the structure of the body is done. Again, another view, the shell has gone on. Now, we had a problem here. If television was going to show this craft, the last thing we want anybody to say, you've got batteries in it. Now, we actually had a scientist who said to Louis Guerra, when he demonstrated again, look to see where the battery is. Now, do anyone know what battery is available that can lift a 12-ton lump of material? If you do, please tell me where I'll get it. And of course, I like to point out, in a video which we have released for 4R1, we are on daytime live, and the scientist is demonstrating. He winds up his little flywheel effort, and he released it. And he said that, I believe that Jhon serl whipped this up, got up a high speed, that it lifted up, and then fell over in the dish next door. So I asked Louis to write to him and tell him, we invite you to come and twist this up and let it go. We never had any reply. On the television program, at the end, if you get the video, the interview was very funny. He was rubbing that scientist quite hard. And then he said, you people never believe anything unless you see it. So he said, if Jhon comes and he hovers a 3-foot thing in front of me, I would then believe it. And that was part of the action. So we have informed him. We'd like to do this for him, but there's a bug. We have to have it outside. It'll have to be on a very long lead. You see, we have to get it off the ground a bit more than 3 foot. But we'll have a crane. They can get up on the top of the crane so he can be 3 foot from it. And he can sit there while we're doing the next program. And he can sit there until the battery runs out. But of course, I could talk to you for hours, for days, about the things that have happened. What the experts say, and when we show them, they pull their hair out and can't answer. Again, another shot taken of that's the demo one, the one that's well known all over the world. Again, another view, we have Tony Justice on top, and it looks like we have the girl that did all the wonders for the papers, who stood on top for their pleasure in the shortest of clothes. I always said to her, you can do what you like. You can get on naked if you want to, long as the cameras get the picture of the craft. She was a good girl. She did everything she could without breaking the law. Now, this was an interesting news article. Every so often in England, we have what we call a UFO sky search, where everybody goes running out to different areas to watch the sky. And the media point this out. What they're really saying here in the article, only a saucer ride away, we were testing our latest craft. That, by the way, is the wonderful girl that went to great lengths to keep the cameras flashing. Again, another press photograph. In fact, that one was recorded in many newspapers all over the world. and the media point this out. What they're really saying here in the article, only a saucer ride away, we were testing our latest craft. That, by the way, is the wonderful girl that went to great lengths to keep the camera splashing. Again, another press photograph. In fact, that one was recorded in many newspapers all over the world. That is perhaps the most used photograph in the world. I think no matter who sent me articles all over the world, books, that photo is in it. That, by the way, is the B-11 on and I like to point out an 8-force wind gale was running. The reporter's asking me, how on earth does that keep still? And I am explaining to him, those white sections, can we put the flash on the flow part? They're the sections of the body that's been opened. What we're doing, we're using the gale force 8 as one. Field, and we're using the lack of field on the craft as the opposite, and we reverse this. And I like to point out an 8-force wind, and I like to point out and I like to point out an 8-force wind gale was running. The reporter's asking me, how on earth does that keep still? And I am explaining to him that those white sections, can we put the flash on the lower part? They're the sections of the body that's been opened. What we're doing, we're using the gale force 8 as one field, and we're using the lack of field on the craft as the opposite. And we reverse this to the side of the wind, so we're holding it dead still. And we held it for an hour to show them it won't move until we change the conditions of the craft. That's 1968. This again is about 69, where the BBC wanted us to do a demonstration. And this is what they did. They hired 2 helicopters. They had cameras made in Germany, especially to go out on a boom. They paid £80 an hour for each pilot. And they believed, and I did tell them they were wrong, but they said they were right, that they would capture that craft taking off, cross the country to the final marker that they were setting up for the test. And that would be time check. The cameras were in place, and they say, well, John, we're ready. You're sure? Yes. All right. So I gave the command for the engine to speed up, and she took off. I didn't put no support weight at the top. And boy, it went. And within 3 seconds, we got the call from the RAF radar to say that it is at the height for the test run. So I swung it round and sent it off to Cornwall. they missed it too. At Cornwall, we were notified that it had crossed the point. We returned it back to Mortimer. The time rested. All the money they spent was a sheer waste of time. We were lucky 2 or 3 camera people did catch it from the ground. But as you can see, there is a large electric pylon in the background. The speed of this compressing the air distorted completely the background pylon. We're not sure whether it actually rained from that compression. It probably is, but we couldn't get near enough to check. We were all too busy. Now you may wonder, what was the record time? The record time was that between Mortimer and the edge, the end landmark of Cornwall, it took 3 minutes to get there. Well, I would say we're looking at about 100 odd miles. And that was a model being withheld from the maximum speed. It wasn't touching anything. We were only just satisfying the media what it could do. And that was only a model. No, because it's forced a tunnel. We'll be explaining this a little later. Here is, somebody caught this picture, they shouldn't have got it, but here's the transmitting equipment. Away in the distance, we are bringing the craft towards us. Now, I think many of you would be very interested in what you see in a disc shape. If you're shown a photo of a disc, if it's completely circle, the person taking it is looking straight up. No other point will give you a circle picture. We know, we have thousands of photographs. If they say that they were standing so far away, then that picture is a fake. If you see an elliptical shape picture, and they say they were underneath it, that's a fake. So for elliptical shape, you have to be some distance away, and you're taking it at an angle. If you see a diamond shape, then that particular shape is coming right sort of diagonally towards you. And its way the centered diamond look tells you which diagonal route it was taken to the person taking the picture. If you see it's a long strip, then it is shooting past you. It is going parallel to you. Simple little pictures tell me a lot because we have put crafts to the test to find out how they look in a photograph. Now, this particular picture is taken from another craft. We have taken up because a lot of the people at the show wanted to know what it looks like from above. So we're taking the craft up and taking the shot. We also take the craft down and take the shot from underneath. Is that on the next shot? Now, underneath is completely black. Now, that's because of the way they've taken it. There are points where you take it, where you can see the mirror image of the ground condition, whether it's trees, whether it's big lumps of ground, it will colour it. It acts like a mirror. When you see it's with nothing mirroring on it, it means that the person was standing at such an angle that you can't see the mirror image being projected by the bottom of the craft. Here's another view taken by the second craft from the top, because we took 2 or 3 at different points so that people could say it still remains that particular condition. And the best, we took them in the evening so you can see it. That's another shot taken from underneath. Again, the person taking it is obviously at a diagonal to it, so you cannot see the mirror image of it. This is Schiphol, the airport I did my international flying in when I took passengers to add weight to the aircraft. And as you see, we are projecting the 21st century. Schiphol is actually developing a new section to the airport. And I think you will realize that the 21st century is going to look quite different to what we know. Jhon Thomas and his son has produced an image of the disc in space. These pictures are in the books, trying to give you the idea, the image of the craft, so you get used to the picture, so when you see one next time in the sky, you'll know who it is and who to blame. Here's Jhon's illustration of what we think will be the pole shift in the year 2000, which of course we hope we got the disc to get out the way until it's settled down. Anyone want to book a seat to get out the way? Give Jhon your name, we'll book your seat. I'm on the first on. Right, now we're at the end of the slides. Right, I try hard not to make technical things hard. I know, I have to attend lectures and you can fall asleep very quick. I don't like you pay to come to sleep when I'm talking. You can go home and have it free. When you come here, I want to try to capture your mind into the interest of new technology. I want you to think and look and see. When we demonstrate, we want those who are interested, not the people who cannot be bothered to come to find out what's going on. We want you who do take interest in technology, we want you to keep in touch, because we want you to see what we're doing, and it's only a short time away when we'll be up and running. I have told this organization that 1 hour is useless. After all, I've been lecturing 3 weeks in Denmark. 30, we still at 9 in the morning, supposed to stop at 10, at 3:30, we still go in it in the morning. And they have to pull me off to get me to the next place. 3 solid weeks, 7 days a week, and that still wasn't enough punishment for them. If, I don't know, we are asking Toby to give us 5 whole days, 9 in the morning till 10 at night. I know you'll still be there at 3 o'clock in the morning, but if he just booked that, 5 days, that means every one of you who are interested will notify. You'll have a chance to come and spend time looking at the things. We want you to see them for yourself. We want you to go back with photographs you took, not what I took, or somebody else took, you took, so you know that's true. We want you to feel the things. We want you to film and video it so that you're satisfied that what you saw is real and not fake. No man can say more than that. We're not hiding anything from you or from the government. In fact, we're telling them precisely what we're going to do. If they complain, it's hard luck. I can't wait any longer. And you can't wait no longer. Every one of you who are trying to develop something need support now. Someone's got to push that support. And my golly, I'm going to. I'm not going to stop until this technology is here. You can come and turn cookers on and satisfy yourself that it's not free technology, but alternative technology. We must be careful about the words we use. If we keep saying free, we're going to be laughed at. If we say anti-gravity, we're going to be laughed at. What we must say, we think what is happening, that we are producing a gravity field around the vehicle, and because 2 lights repel, we can get away with that. But if you say it's anti-gravity, then we have 2 opposites. They will pull together. So we must be very careful how we word our statements. It's not what you think. We have to be careful. It's what other people think. I hope to see every one of you on the next do we have. And I don't know if Jhon would like to say anything. Can you think of it? If not, you may ask what I can do.
Enjoyed your funny side in your workshop. I took a few notes on it. I think there's a higher urgency in your generator. And if you could take a minute or two, the potential for all of us to be self-dependent on energy, the reduction of dependency on hydrocarbons worldwide, the opportunity to make nuclear power obsolete, and the vast health benefits of your ionization. By those products, I think there's quite a few of us. If you could talk a little bit about your ionizer. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I have no hearing. I have to vibrate the bones a bit.
On the medical aspects and on the home aspects, and to give us independence.
Right. This is fact, the gentleman has said what I was planning to say. This generator is a prime mover, and as such, it means it can be used in the burn case. Here is a sample what it can do. The Sherwoods from New York came to visit me on the request of the universities to investigate whether the claims on the media was true or false. When he arrived, I arrived with my team at the hotel in London to greet him, and I was a mummy. I had 2 slits from my mouth. I had been in a terrible explosion. When he arrived, I told him we had to take him to the launching site right away because our team could only be together at weekends because we had to work elsewhere. So Dr. Kane had arrived. He was in the opposite side of the hotel. So we brought them all together to Starport 1, as we call it, to show him the demo 1. 7 days later, they came to the hospital with me to have the weapons to take off to see how critical the damage was. Only the dagger vein was still damaged. The blood shot out and they had to freeze it and rebandage it again. Next 7 days I went back and they took the bandage off. The doctor said, I can't believe it. Your face should be all crinkled up, wrinkled, distorted and deep purple colour. How did you do it? And I told him, the generator in the house is making the conditions. It is purifying the room so great that there is no bacteria that could attack or damage the particular tissue. On top of that, we are pumping so much electrons back into the tissue that the tissue has a chance to heal faster. You may say, how painful was it? Well, when your head is on fire and your face is burning up, it is very painful. You may say, well, how on earth did you cope? And this was a problem. There are other people there and they're simply frozen and they never moved. Well, after all, you just disintegrated the fuse box and the meter and all the cables. All the washing had vanished. Your head on fire. What could they do but just stand there? We had a big deep freezer chest, so I dived in that for a few minutes. And then came out and I rang the doctor and said, we've just had an explosion. So he rushed over, he strapped the face, he did the neck. Unfortunately, he put the wrong stuff on the neck. But on the third day, but what we'd like is people who feel they can donate gifts to get.
We're going to have to end in about 2 minutes.
To the manager, I said, I have to go to hospital. So he said, right, you can't drive there, we'll drive you there. When they took off the bandages, the blood shot out, and they said, gosh, you've got a bit of gangrene in there. So they had to pump a load of penicillin in me.
Professor Searle, we're gonna have to end in about 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes, right.
Yeah. So a lot of people have been asking me to ask you one question. And I think everybody in the room wants to know: what happened to the discs? What are you doing now, and what do you need?
Right. But what we'd like is people who feel they can donate gifts to get this ball rolling. It is beginning to roll. If you really got behind this effort, 6 months from now, we can come back here and you can see what you have never seen before. And that is a promise.
What happened to the discs?
The discs, all the discs are, we got about 30 machines which we can't recover. You see, during the time I had my happy holiday in prison, was cared for and loved and treated, they got rid of all the equipment by which you can recover them. We cannot get that equipment anymore, so we have to build a new one. At this time in Germany, they are working on one. I cannot say for sure whether we got it far enough to bring it over in July, but we are hoping, there's still hope, that we can arrange a place in Denver, Colorado Springs. I say, at the moment, we're not sure. They won't sign the contract because they want the loyalty. So I wish you all the best. I hope to see you all again, and I hope you will support the drive of alternative energy. Thank you very much.
Broadcasting from somewhere high above the earth. I'm Richard D. Hall, and earlier this month I took a trip down to the surface of Earth, where I attended the Leeds 2010 Exopolitics Conference, and I was honoured to meet Professor Jhon, inventor of the serl effect generator. Welcome to the Rich Planet Starship. I'm Richard D. Hall, and I'm extremely excited today because I have with me Professor Jhon and Fernando Morris. And Professor Serl is the inventor of the serl effect generator, which I am fascinated by. And today we're going to actually go into some detail of that because I have a background in electrical engineering. I graduated in electrical engineering in 1990 from Newcastle University. So I've got some interesting questions that I'd like to ask you. So, Jhon, can you just tell us about the dreams first? Because you derived some of the information from dreams. Can you start by telling us about that?
There were two different dreams, but both are related. First one showed you the mathematics you use and what's going to happen if you don't get this technology out of the field, out of the field. The thing is, what it says is that if you don't, then all life is going to end in due time, much sooner than expected. And what it's saying that you're going to be developing a very great pressure and force with this gigantic steamroller coming towards you. So at that point, you just wake up screaming because you see you're going to be crushed. But basically, the illustration is a game for hopscotch.
Right.
Every child maybe had to just play it. And then three squares, vertical, two horizontal, one vertical, and two horizontal. The pebble was always in square three, because as a child I didn't know what that meant. What happened is that every time the dream was exactly the same, always the same. Your left leg is on the ground, your right leg is up in the air to cross over 3 into 4. I always wondered why this happened. And then the second dream also is showing you sometimes. It showed a very long ladder go to the loft that you went through every night to get thousands more to be better hands. They're always at 24 every night. On this occasion, the height of that loft was many times higher than normal. When I entered, instead of bells, we have this circle of the straw with lines of straw going out like spikes on a bicycle. And then suddenly it catches fire when I'm in the middle of it. Because I wake up screaming. And what is also, as time went on, is that A, you're going to be involved with two distinct objects. That is a power system and a flying system. Then, of course, Nancy had said everyone was disappear. The one who disappeared was me. The records, school records, now say he disappeared. And then when I checked the date of that school, then I checked the date I entered the neighbour's school, say he disappeared. And then when I checked the date of that school, then I checked the date I entered the neighbour's school, there are 10 days missing with no explanation.
Okay. Now, I'm just going to summarize because not everyone who's watching this will be aware of what the machine is. It is a machine which produces electricity with no physical fuel source.
And it's so.
Yeah. So it appears to be getting power from an invisible source.
But now the source in the first place is in the rare earth itself.
In the rare earth
Yeah.
element.
We have these extra band of electrons,
Right.
which if I can explain why
Right.
this rare earth behaves in this manner.
Right. And are they extracting those electrons from the surrounding environment?
Yes.
Right. So they're pulling electrons. Do those electrons get turned into photons then throughout the generator?
Well, what's happening is that first of all, the SEG is a converter of existing energy all around us. Energy actually feels temperature and body temperature. Right. Jhon tried to get a hold of the SEG. It's not working. Right. Anything that is at the atomic level, vibrating, electrons moving around, all that chaos, that's a source of energy. So the SEG is the converter of kinetic energy.
Right. So is the device destroying any matter?
That's the beauty of the SEG. It doesn't destroy anything. It's sort of like taking water from a dam. Are you destroying the water that's coming in? And what's coming out is still the same. The difference is there's kinetic energy. And the SEG utilizes it. It makes it coherent, useful.
Okay. Thanks, Fernando. Now, I want to first go into the materials and physical structure of the device. And then I want to go into the operational side. Okay, an explanation of how the magnetic fields and if there are any electric currents in there. Firstly, materials. There are 4 materials, Jhon. Yeah.
Right.
Now, you've got copper, which is a conductor. Yeah. You've got, I believe, a magnetic material. You've got the rare earth.
Teflon.
Teflon is the.
Teflon or dielectric regulates.
That's the 4th one.
That's the third.
Third one. And
The
then-
fourth is the innermost.
Okay, so if we go out from the center, we've got a solid ring in the center, and then we've got the rollers, and they're made of the same material. Yeah. So from the center, let's go out and explain the material. We've got the first one is
The most is neodymium.
neodymium.
That's the reservoir of electricity.
Right.
Just like a dam has a reservoir.
Then the next layer,
Then you have the dielectric. Think of that as the dam or holding that.
like a dam. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Okay. Then we've got
The magnetic,
right.
which makes the whole thing work.
So
It's like a generator.
The magnet in the shape of the ring. Yeah. And then we've got the copper.
The copper, right? And that's where the electrons are emitted from and the electrons.
Right. And I believe the magnet has to be magnetized in a very specific way.
Yeah.
So does it when you manufacture the magnet, does it start off as a magnet, or do you have to magnetize it?
It's a blank.
It's a blank.
We magnetize it in a unique fashion in a way that it's not done by the industry.
Right.
So it's a unique process.
So where is the north and the south of the disc?
But the north is normally, if that at the top, self down at the bottom of the bay. The bottom half on an analyzer, you see, is compact, very dark, and very little darkness in the top, the north side. So the rollers have something to run as well. They play on that.
So, am I right in thinking that the rollers have the identical same four materials throughout them, as from the center out, right? Now, am I right in thinking that you've got north, south, north, south, north, south 4 times throughout that?
It's all north, south. It's just that there's variations. The sine wave has variations
Right.
throughout its periphery.
So it's not the rollers are not north at the top and south at the bottom.
Oh, yes, they are.
Oh, they are. So, do you get, for example, is the roller made of four parts together? Eight.
8 segments makes a roller.
Right. And does each roller have a north and south? North and
Yes,
south?
they do, but they have variations, which is
within-
away from.
Right. It's a very special type of magnetization.